That's the key thing. And that's where we get to be okay with not everybody being okay with how we are, or whatever. The key thing is being okay with yourself, with truly loving on you and truly knowing you and knowing this how you express yourself and embracing whatever shows up.
Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. In this episode of Blueprint Breakers, I sit down with Nene Ekufu, a dynamic confidence coach who shares her transformative journey from a shy and introverted teenager to a confidence-boosting mentor. Nene opens up about overcoming personal challenges, including shyness, dyslexia, and self-image issues, and how discovering her passion for sign language interpreting revealed her true potential. We delve into the 4 key areas that hold us back from our true potential and practical strategies for tackling limiting beliefs. Discover how Nene inspires her clients to embrace their greatness and live confidently, and learn valuable tips for anyone looking to reshape their self-image and achieve their dreams. Just a little bit about Nene Ekufu. Nene is an international speaker, confidence coach, law of attraction, and certified Dual Elite Neuroencoding Specialist. She works with introverts who are naturally shy and those who are capable but lack the belief or know-how to win in life, love, and career by showing the world their unique abilities. Let's welcome Nene. Hello, Nene. Welcome to Blueprint Breakers. It's so good to see you today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite. Can't wait for this conversation.
Well, let's get right to it. I know that you are a confidence coach among a lot of other things. You're a lot of different things. I'd love to hear a bit about your path, like your whole journey on what led you to this calling and to how you serve right now.
Sure. What led me was me of yesteryears. Like, I see myself now as a recovered shy introvert. So I used to be this shy, introverted teenager. And there was just so many things to just kind of like put into it that I was just kind of like, and the thing is, like, a lot of people think that all introverts are shy. But fortunately for me, I was one of those introverts who was also shy, who just got the confusion that, oh, my shyness is because I am introverted, when really it got nothing to do with me being introverted. And it just, there was just so many layers, so many things that kind of like aspired for that to happen. I have a birthmark that is the whole of my left arm, which again, I was so very insecure about, and like very timid when people looked or pointed or stuff like that. And then back then, I didn't know that I was dyslexic, and the way, like, school happened and everything that aspired. I remember one time I was in class and we just done a test and we're handing out the questions, and the teacher looked so like confused. And when it was heading towards me to hand mine, I thought I aced it. I was like, man, I got this down, because I knew it was one of the topics that I loved. And it came to me like one of the questions, I knew it. So I just said my piece, and he was like, yeah. He even looked more confused. I'm like, why didn't you write that down on the paper? Now I'm the one that's confused, because I'm like, I did. He said, no, what you wrote is goggle blah, blah. And everyone just busted out laughing. And I just wanted the ground to open up and just swallow me. And that was like when I just was Miss Invincible. You wouldn't even know I was there. I was in and out, in and out, in and out. And I just thought, you know what? I'll just like coast through life, and then just have to be and do what I need to do and be out of there. And yeah, I just carried through life. And then when I came over to this happened back in Nigeria, where we resided, and we came back over here because we went back there for a while. There was then officially diagnosed that I was dyslexic. And I just thought, okay, life's going to be like this until the desire to sign came about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this visual language. I want to do more of it. And then in one of the classes, the tutor just thought, okay, we're doing a practical session. And for me, I started learning how I work best. And I had to see myself to be able to do and practice. And she, again, another scenario, why are you not practicing? I'm like, I am practicing. I have to see myself. And she was like, yeah, but you're not waving your hands. Like, oh, I'm dyslexic. She's like, oh, you're dyslexic? What are you doing here? You can't be an interpreter. And it never crossed my mind that it was a thing. And me, by that time, I just had this love and passion for interpreting. And now I'm getting this bombshell. It's like, oh, okay. Like, okay, let me go and figure out who, like, I'm sure there must be other interpreters who are dyslexic. I can't be the first, you know? Let me go and figure out. So in that pursuit of figuring out who else is this, I then realized that, oh my goodness, it's how I've been seeing myself, the self-loathing, the, not loving and all those things that I needed to do the work. So that's where my journey started of, okay, let me now work on me to then get to the point where I can, be confident to do what I got to do. So yeah, that's where it stemmed from, having that knowing of like, okay, what I've been masking and like having seen myself and what I've been doing to the point that, okay, I get to do the work on that. So yeah, and then fast forward from that, I was seeing other people the same way. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah.
So you had several experiences as a young person and as you were getting into your career and everything that really shook your self-image and your self-confidence. So you knew that there was something in there that needed to be healed. And you went about, how did you go about working on that or healing that?
Yeah, I love the word you use because healing is exactly what it was. I, at the time, got into Tony Robbins because of like how I was like, I just needed my me time and not being around people. I used to watch a lot of late night commercials or stuff like that. So I would sleep during the day in my teens and then be awake in the night and then just kind of like model up. And the infomercial was out and I'm like, okay, let me go and try this and see what happens. And I started seeing some changes in me. I started, okay, let me then now go to his live show. Let me do this. And so, yeah, I started like doing the work and started seeing changes in me. And I was like, oh gosh, wow. And then when I started seeing people like, oh, Nene, like, wow, is that you? Like how and stuff like that. That's how I used to, and giving advice, supporting and just giving tips and stuff. I'm like, no, let me go and learn this thing properly and like get certified and get trained up in doing this stuff. And so, yeah, so I went on to get my certification. I did the law of attraction, QSEA certification on that. I'm also kind of like a neuroencoding specialist and I did an NLP master practitioner thing. And it was just more just evolving. So all those modalities and all those things I've learned, I've like, cooked it up and like, okay, in how I then now support my own clients with all the marinated stuff from all these different people that I have like been fortunate to learn from.
Yeah, that's so valuable. So you walked this path, you found the answers for yourself, you did the work, you did the healing, and you got the training.
Yeah.
And now you're helping people who are walking through a similar path. I mean, that's just very, very powerful. So I love that.
Thank you.
Now I noticed I've been reading a lot of what you've been writing and what you've been putting online and things that you're working on. And one of the things that you talked about was the 4 key areas holding us back from reaching our true potential. I would love to have you share with the audience about those and your thoughts around it.
Sure. With the 4 key areas that are holding us back, those are tend to be triggers of the things because the meaning we give anything, consciously or subconsciously, would affect how we behave, act, and show up. So the 4 areas, basically how we see ourselves, our self-image, our self-esteem, our confidence. And then we have the other area where we have the limiting beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves. And then we have the fears, the rejection, the uncertainty. And then if we are capable enough, we've got the skills, or if we have the knowledge on this particular thing, will then show up how we react to the thing that's holding us back. And when I say holding us back, we have desires, we have goals that we want to achieve. If then we believe that we're not worthy to achieve those things, regardless of how much we want it, because of like the beliefs we have about it, the limiting beliefs, or the way we see ourselves that we're not capable of doing that, then it wouldn't happen. So we get to then heal this, work on those 4 areas, the 4 main categories. So for some people, it might be just how they see themselves. They might feel like they're not good, like whatever, how they look. For some people, it's like, I don't sure if I have the knowledge to be able to do this. And others will be like the stories they tell themselves, like people like me don't do this, or like all these things happen. Or like, if I go and ask, I might be rejected. So all those things are just, they'll hold us back, but they're the triggers of what is the thing that we want. So when we can get to know what is it for us, because it might be limiting beliefs for me, it might be stories for someone else, it could be like I don't have enough skills for another. As long as you're aware of what those things are, then you get to do the work. And so for me, when I work with my clients, it's like, okay, what do you want? What do you love? And then now let's figure out, have the awareness of the things that are holding us back. We get to work on that so we can then align consciously to the desires that we want.
Yes, I can relate to that 1,000%. So
Yeah.
I've been working on all of that too.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
And now I know that you specialize in working with introverts specifically. So, and it's funny because I describe myself as I'm either an extroverted introvert or I'm an introverted extrovert. One of the other, like I'm mostly an introvert with a little bit of extroversion in there. But I'm curious to hear from you, like, why do you think that introverts in particular need help in these areas?
Like you said, everyone needs like help, or we're in this spectrum of like where we see ourselves. The reason why, like for me, I'm more with the introverts as people is because we confuse, or we're blending various things, like thinking our personality or how we show up is the problem, when really it's the other things, the other baggage that is showing up. And then we're thinking, oh yeah, it's because I can't, I like my own space, or I do this, that's why I can't. No, babe, it's not because of that. It's like we as introvert derive our energy comes by that long time. Like you wake up in the morning, you have a set of coins, and before the end of the day, those coins are depleted. So you need to know how to manage yourself so that you can then be able to function. So know that, and then thinking, oh my goodness, I'm no good because I can't keep up with these people, or whatever that thing is, then we're mixing up and thinking that we're not capable, or we're not good enough, we're not stuff. When it can be as simple as speaking, if you're working for someone or whatever it is, having that conversation and saying, this is how I roll. This is how I show up best. This is what would tend to work out for me. So it's more the blurred line between how the world wants us to be and what's showing up, and knowing that this is actually how I am and this is what I get to do, and not thinking, oh, because I'm not outspoken as so, or because I'm not whatever, I don't get to do this. It's having that understanding that even extroverted people can be socially awkward at times as well. And it's having that understanding of oneself and having that knowing of like, okay, this is how I show up, and being empowered of knowing. My key thing is just tapping into who we are, because it's already in there. We just need to unlayer it out and bring it to the front for, well, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you talk about the difference between how the world expects us to show up and just how we truly are, and sort of trying to bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
Or come to terms with it.
That's the key thing. And that's where we get to walk towards, to be okay with not everybody being okay with how we are, or whatever. And I think the key thing is being okay with yourself. Because sometimes we feel like we have to do it outwardly, but really now be okay with, with truly loving on you and truly knowing you and knowing this how you express yourself and embracing whatever shows up. That's kind of like one of the key factors that I had to go through. And a lot of my clients are like just maneuvering and have been through. And it's just, once you get to that point, my goodness, the awareness of how much greatness each and every one of us have and start showing up in that greatness, it is just spectacular once we can really tap into that knowing.
Yeah, and that must be very fulfilling work for you, because that's you're trying to help people tap into that, right? With what you do.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. It's all about knowing. And I guess the thing for us is we always look at things from how things are right now, not looking at like how we truly want it to be, and just surrendering to the, okay, this is what I want. Now, what do I get to do? Once you have that, it's having that understanding that like there are like 4 main parts, but I'll focus on the 3 right now. The conscious mind are the desires that we want, are the things that, this is like, I want that promotion. I want that girl. I want that car, whatever that is. Like, that's what we're saying consciously. But unconsciously, our mind is like, I'm not good enough. I am not capable. She's going to not like me or reject me, or like, it's too expensive, whatever that thing is. It's because we're using like our current reality to go with that flow. And then the thing that's really running the show is the unconscious mind. And what I mean by that is like our beliefs and all those things, like all those things are like rooted in that unconsciousness. So when we then show up as introverts and then go like, okay, I want to do this thing, but deep down, I have this running joke that the conversations that I had, or I feel like introverted people have more in their head. Oh, how am I going to do this? Like, you just have this running conversation before actually do the thing. And then by the time you get the energy or even like the will to do the thing, is like, it's gone now. And then you lose the chance because of like those inner chatter. So let's heal that unconscious mind. Let's work on this so that we're now reprogramming ourselves or program ourselves to that knowing of that greatness.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that explanation there. And we've talked a lot about limiting beliefs. I'm very familiar with understanding them and identifying them and working on them. I'd love to hear your thoughts about working on them. Like, how do we tackle limiting beliefs? How do we reshape our self-image to match our dreams?
I love that question, because some people will go to affirmation. Let's create an affirmation that would help sort it out. And against popular opinion, I just feel like going affirmation from a place of lack is just doing a disservice. Maybe in the longest run, it would work. But if we're just going to like, I am great, I am great, I am great. And deep down, you're feeling, no, you're not that great. Right? No. But I'm great, I am great, I am great, I am great. No. So way that we can actually tackle and really work on this is like coming from a place of purpose or a place of like, the reason, because then we can then know that, okay, this is why I'm doing this. So if it's like, okay, I want that promotion to be able to whatever that is, we can then work on then identifying what is the thing that like, what's holding us back, like which part of that quadrant is like my issue here. So if it's a limiting beliefs, then okay, this is what I believe on myself, that I'm not worthy. So it's not necessarily saying I'm worthy. It's like you're creating this new affirmative to the desire you want. You're tapping into that person who has that thing. You're tapping into the person you truly want to be. And then you're creating a new belief that will counterbalance. Because the thing is, like, when you get up from oh, I need to grab a pen from the next room. You get up and like, you go into the room and like, what did I come here for again? What did I come here? You come back to the place and then, oh, the pen, you go back again. The same is true for when we're trying to clear out the limiting beliefs. One of the ways that I work with my clients is like, like that it's coming, or when it's there, oh, I'm not good enough. pattern interrupt it, move it, like move, like physically move or say something or like acknowledge you're like that pattern break of the process and then fill it in with what we want. Because when we pattern interrupt it, we forget it for the moment that, okay, yes, oh, I just said I wasn't good enough. Oh, I've moved it, or like I've shifted my energy, whatever, but we've not filled it with the desire that we want. We've not filled it in with what we want. So it's like having it, knowing, change the pattern, whether get up suddenly or like, sit or say something or do whatever, filling with the desire that we want, that new purpose, saying that thing, and then celebrating that fact. Doing it that way can then help it to be like ingrained in us more than coming from like, oh, I don't feel good enough. Oh, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. It doesn't flow. But when we come from a place of purpose, when we come from a place of like the desire that we want, who we want to be, has a more lasting effect in sorting out the limiting beliefs.
Okay. So this is gold here. So I really want to make sure that I get it. What you're saying is when the old belief comes up, the negative thought or the, I'm not good enough, or whatever the thought is, when it comes up, we need to interrupt the pattern first energetically.
Yeah.
Either through some sort of movement or doing something or saying something or whatever. Shake up the energy first. And then we're filling it with the new desire. But how do we refill it with the new desire? Is that where an affirmation does come in?
That's where the right affirmation. So this is where we come from. We create like the desire that we want. Before we even tackle what we're going to say or what we're going to fill it with it, we need to then have this, who's this new person? Who do we desire to be? How do we want to show up? We want to be confident. We want to be able to speak our mind. So the person who does that is like, I'm like a confidence, like you're saying the desire that you want to come to pass. Like I am a magnetic speaker, or I'm this and that. So when we come from a place of like who we want to be, and then derive the feel in from that point, than from saying, oh, the limiting belief is I'm not good. I'm feeling is I'm good enough. It could work. But when we come from like, I'm a badass, I'm capable because of this is who I am. This is what I am doing. And this is how I show up. And this is the thing for me. I am running or I'm doing or whatever that thing is. We can tie it into the purpose or tie into a why. It has that lasting effect in the process, healing the unconscious mind, healing that belief system of what it is. If not, where we're playing or doing whatever we're doing, that inner voice is still going to come in and say, yeah, really?
Right.
But when we know what we want, we interrupt it, even like just laughing or like standing up suddenly or whatever we do, and then filling with something that has purpose, that has a meaning to why we're filling it with, that would then anchor it in. And we know why we're doing it, not because I just don't want to think I'm unworthy. I'm doing it because I am this CEO badass. I'm like doing it because I know my shit. But like, and when we're saying it with emotions or feeling, it even anchors it in. And then at the end, you just celebrate. Like, yes, I did that. And that makes the process quicker than kind of like dragging on and then you're having this natter in your head and stuff like that.
Right.
It comes in. And the key thing is don't wait for that feeling to come. You know that feeling is coming. Work on it now. Just the feelings you get in that time, the feeling, whatever is happening, feel it now. Pattern interrupt it. Fill it in. Celebrate. Go back to that feeling. Do it again. Go back. Do it. Go back. And then it gets to a point like when it does come, we tap into it and then we're good. And then we just celebrate. So sometimes we don't have to wait for the feeling to come. We invoke the feeling, we invoke the whatever it is that's holding, like when we figure out what it is for us, do the work then. Just say like anything, twice a day, one a night, just walk on that thing. And over time, before you know it, in a couple of days, the way you start feeling about that thought, about that feeling, because we're tapping to our purpose, it's not thing anymore. We're just stopping it. I think
I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it. So you work with your clients up front on who is it that you want to be and doing the work on that, right?
Yeah.
And really making sure that they understand the why and the emotion that comes with that and what that feeling is like. So I would think you would have to really tap into that very strongly so that when those self-limiting beliefs do pop up, you can access that, like you can
Yes.
reconnect with it.
It's like creating a whole new identity for yourself. Because the things that we admire in other people, we have it in us. So we do this exercise together where we figure out, okay, I love this about this person. I love that about that person. And then we create like a whole new identity, like an affirmative statement for ourselves. I am this strong, sexy, passionate, compassionate, conqueror of souls, creative possibility, who, like whatever those words that would like really invoke that for you. So you're creating this embodiment that, and before we do that, we already know what are those things that are holding us back. So you then from that create like, what do I want? What would I love? Who would I want to be? And when you have that, and then we now know, okay, this is like the thing that is like, for me, is like the stories I'm telling myself. Like you tap into that story, stop it up, bang, a phrase from that state, from that new identity from ourselves. We celebrate ourselves that we've done it. We go back into that story, and then we're like, no, let's this new identity for ourselves. And it's like with movement, with the music, with all those things, helps just like the shifting of it all. Now it gets to the point where, oh, okay, no, I'm good with this now. And then we then go on to something else. So when we come from this knowing of this new creation of who we have, like who we're now tapping into, when those limiting beliefs, when all those things come in, we're like, man, I know me. You go from there. Then you go from a point of like, I know that I don't truly love myself. Okay. I love myself. I'm good. But you roll back in because you're not tapping into the knowing of how your purpose of who you are. When you then go back to that, yes, because I am this. We use phrases like, we use adjectives and verbs and all these phrases that we've created that then have new meaning for us. So that when these things that want to hold us back comes to play and we're trying to shift it, we already have something that we have to replace it, have something that we know we're working on. And obviously, the brain wants to keep us safe because we've had this for however how long we've been on Earth. It's like on auto drive. And that's where we get to like pump. And over time, it feels like it just says, I gave up now. Okay, we're this now. We love ourselves. We're good. Whatever that is for us, becomes the new norm.
And you're getting to the point where you're being proactive. You know that the negative feeling or the negative thought or whatever is coming. So you're being proactive against it as you evolve in this. So, this is so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for so much for this. Now, is this what you mean when you say, there was a quote of yours that I loved when you said, we don't get what we want, we get who we are.
Exactly that. It's because we plan for success, but we're preparing for failure because we want this desire, we want this thing, but deep down, because of the unconscious mind saying this, we're like, just in case, let me just do this. Let me just have this. But we want this consciously. We're saying the desire because of how we are right now. We haven't truly tapped in. We've not done the work. Regardless, this is what's going to happen. And that's why you hear people saying, I'm doing the work, I'm doing everything, but I'm still getting the same result because we've not truly tapped in and worked on why those things are like showing up, to be able to then align to truly who we are.
Yeah. Well, this is so valuable. And I mean, your work is so important and so impactful. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, it's just a reminder to just let everyone know that there is truly greatness in each and every one of us. It's in us. We just not tapped into it. It's not like we have to go and get it. It's there. We just need to unlayer it and connect to it and truly have that understanding. And when we can get to that point, then we can know that we're truly loved, we're whole, and we're complete, and that our voice matters, and it's truly our time to use it.
I love that. So how can we find you? Where should we connect with you?
Sure. I am in all social spaces, Nene Ekufu, in all places. And I have created a booklet of figuring out some of those inner chatters that's happening in our heads, overcoming those automatic negative thoughts, because they're always going to be there. So when we can have this awareness of those happening in the subconscious mind, then we can tap into what's my theme.
Awesome. So I'll link to that in the show notes so that they can access it. That sounds awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking with me today. It's been a pleasure and I've learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Blueprint Breakers podcast, Empower the Introvert in You, and a very special thank you to my guest, Nene Ekufu. Thank you again for listening and sharing this episode with your friends. If you haven't done it yet, please join us in our Blueprint Breakers Facebook group. Have a great week. Keep on breaking those blueprints and rewriting your own.